Hello, my name is Anna Del Angel Aguilar, and welcome to my Not a Presentation presentation. Our topic of discussion today is how esotericism and the faith in the unseen is actually at the center of the plot, narration, and decision choices made by the characters in Donna Tartt's novel, The Secret History. My goal in this video is to walk you through my school of thought while I was doing research for this. So, to start with, we are going to talk about esotericism. What is esotericism? Esotericism. What is it? Basically, it's a philosophy, a school of thought that has a belief in finding the unknown, how there is a secret meaning to everything. If you just open up your mind or you study extensively, you can find the hidden, deeper meaning in anything. When you talk about esotericism, it kind of leads into Straussianism, which is a branch of esotericism that is more politically inclined than esotericism as a whole. Straussianism is basically another school of thought, philosophical school of thought, that puts a heavy emphasis on finding the hidden, deeper meaning inside other writings. But by focusing our thoughts on Straussianism, it makes it a little bit easier to apply it to the novel. What makes Straussianism a better application than esotericism as a whole is Straussianism has a focus on the great books. They are writings written by great writers that are philosophers that have talked about higher critical thought, such as Aristotle, and looking at them on a closer and deeper level that they were not looked on before. What makes Straussianism interesting is that the writers of these great books transcend their situation, they transcend their place and time, and they are the ultimate, knowledge. So, stay with me now. One more thing I want to touch on when it comes to Straussianism and esotericism is that they both have these two labels for information. We have the esoteric and the exoteric. The exoteric is information that is open to the public meaning. But then the esoteric is when you read between the lines and you put faith in this idea that you're creating by close studying. With that understanding of Straussianism and esotericism and the understanding of what the esoteric is, now I want to talk about classics education. So before we get into the novel itself, it's important to mention that the main characters are studying classics. What is the study of classics? Classics is basically the study of political, literary history of ancient Rome and Greece and how it's affected the world today. Classics is a pretty common study in many universities, but specifically at the university that the characters are in Donna Tartt's novel, it is a very elite group of students who believe that they are elite. They are in a sort of special club, and they can only be part of this classic study if they're invited, and there's only 8 of them. Moving on to the novel, it's not necessary for a synopsis of the novel to understand the point I'm going to make, so I won't be doing that. I will just be focusing on the group themselves and when they were studying. And their understanding of the esoteric caused them to kill their friend. In esotericism, there is this idea of the esoteric circle, which is basically the people that are in on it. You're in my circle, you're in my esoteric circle. It means you're in on the information that I've spent all this time studying. And you can put that idea with the study group and the classics group in The Secret History. The Secret History has many references to this idea of this insider knowledge. And when you look at the esoteric circle that's present in The Secret History, you get the leader of the esoteric circle, which is Julian Morrow. Julian Morrow is the teacher who establishes this whole dynamic with the university and the group, and is the one that hand chooses his members of his esoteric circle. The biggest thing that adds to the idea of esotericism in The Secret History is that They have this secret knowledge that no one else knows. The people in the group, the people in the classics group, are the only people that know the real information. They're the only ones that know who Julian Morrow really is. And because of this, and because of their incredible, unreasonable level of faith in their perception of the esoteric, it leads them to do a lot of crazy crap. There's not a better way to put it. Their intense belief in the esoteric, intense belief that the ideas that they've put in their minds, that Julian Morrow is this representation of Dionysus, that Julian Morrow is an all-eternal knowing being. Not really, but yeah, basically. It leads them to not only kill a stranger, but also their best friend at risk of being exposed for killing the stranger during the drunken rite. One of the things, as I've stated before, that is so Straussian and so esoteric in secret history is that they read these texts with the expectation that they will find hidden information. They treat these classical texts, they're not for everyone. You have to be worthy enough to read the text, to understand them to the level that the rest of them are understanding this to. You have to be in on the esoteric circle, which is, once again, a Straussian belief. Even the characters themselves are an example of esoteric versus exoteric belief. Exoteric ideas of the students, everyone looking in, they are elite, they are rich, they are clean, they know what they're doing, they're all smart, they all are entwined with each other, and they will never branch out in the university. This is the exoteric understanding of the group. But the esoteric understanding of the group, and understanding what's going on inside them, understanding what's going on in their minds, is that they're hiding secrets, they're hiding these murders, they have these murderous intentions, they have these weird beliefs in their teacher, and that only they know this. So all throughout the novel, there's these ideas of the exoteric versus the esoteric, and how it affects the roles, the social hierarchy, the decisions made by everyone in the novel. But how does this connect to faith as a whole? Well, you've heard me talking about how they have this faith in the esoteric, and even though it's not explicitly a religious faith, you can even encounter it as a religious faith, because they have they have almost the same level of faith in their beliefs in the esoteric as a fundamentalist Christian has in the Bible. They will do anything to defend their point, to defend their faith, to show their faith to the highest extent. So, what's the best way to show this? What I've been talking about, the murders. To show their understanding to the highest extent of the esoteric, of their newfound Greek understanding, it leads them to the murder of 2 innocent people. And added on to it, the way that they hid it. Because when you look at the actions of the group through the perspective of Henry Winter, another character who is the other leader of the esoteric group when Julian Morrow decides to not take any accountability for the actions of the children, you can see that their fundamental belief, fundamental faith in the esoteric, in what they've learned, shapes all of their decisions. Because instead of realizing that the esoteric may not be really the interpretation that they're understanding, once they've killed one guy, they decide, no, let's hide this. Let's keep this secret. And they have such a high faith in what they did is right that when Bunny finds out, and Bunny realizes that he can blackmail them in a way and use this information against them, Henry, along with the other group members, have such a strong faith in the esoteric and these things that they've learned and interpreted. The strong word is interpreted. These things that the rest of them have interpreted from their lessons in the classics. Their actions are justified. Them killing that man in the drunken rite was justified, and now Bunny must die because he wants to say that the actions were not justified. TLDR, Straussianism and esotericism are different ways of studying and understanding the unseen and the unknown. When you put it into Donna Tartt's novel, The Secret History, the classics group is the esoteric group that is in on all the information that no one else is in on, and at least they believe in it. They have this so intense, strong faith in what they've learned and that they're right about what they've interpreted from the writings, that they will go as far as to kill one man, and when their friend tries to convince them that what they did is wrong and that murder is wrong, they have such a strong faith in what they have done, and they have such a strong faith in what they've learned and the esoteric that they've understood, that they decide to kill Bunny, the other friend. Even though he is a part of the core esoteric group, he doesn't understand why they're right, and since they're so right, they need to kill him. Okay, bye. My name's Anna. Peace out, Girl Scout.